Turf Talk with Drew Miller.
On this week's episode, we host the pitch manager of AS Monaco Football Club, Mr. Paul Burgess. This was such an awesome episode with such an incredible person, someone who has been a real innovator in the sports field management industry, having such an impact from different things, from being the first individual to have artificial lighting on his field, seeing that sort of grow through Europe, and now in the United States become a really well-known management practice, to the development of one of probably the most innovative pitches when it comes to Real Madrid installing a brand new pitch that actually is controlled and an environment that is 100% operated and, again, controlled by the pitch manager. Built in a 150 feet ground hole in the stadium, and it's such an awesome episode. You can really see how passionate he's about this industry and what he has done for it, and really just moving forward, everything he continues to do. So this is definitely an episode you do not want to miss. Paul, I can't thank you enough for everything. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Utah, and just really it's going to be an awesome time. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Tiger Turf Talk. Morning and good afternoon. Obviously, is it France right now?
Yes, well, Monaco actually.
Monaco. I keep messing that up. You just told me
the second smallest country in the world.
Gotcha. So welcome to the 85th episode. We have an incredible guest today. We have Mr. Paul Burgess, the pitch manager of AS Monaco Football Club. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing good. Is it morning where you are? Is it?
Yeah. So it's 10 a.m. right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not too far off, but I mean, I've had worse time differences, but I've always been in awe of your career and what you've done. Obviously being in England, then Real Madrid, then a consultant now in Monaco. It's incredible to see sort of the growth of your career. What has it been like for you sort of making these big, again, steps? Like you're already at the top of the top and then you move on to the next thing and just keep growing and growing. What has that been like for you? And the reasoning sort of behind taking those next steps in your career?
Okay. Well, where to start with that one?
Sorry.
But basically, my career has progressed very, very well, and always on an upwards direction. It's been great. It's only last week or 2 weeks ago now, I was invited to my former college and university to receive an honorary fellowship, and the principal invited me onto the stage. I was wearing a silly hat and cape, and didn't suit me very well. But I had to stand there for about 6 minutes while she spoke about my career, and it's only when she spoke and she said a lot of the things that I'd achieved in my career to date, where you're like, oh God, did I do all that? And so I didn't really. You just continue. You don't kind of like look backwards. I'm just looking forwards all the time, and I'm always looking at how I can make a difference and do new things and new challenges so initially I worked for my local soccer team where I grew up in Blackpool. I then applied for a job at Arsenal Football Club in London, which is a Premier League team, where I quickly got promoted to head groundsman due to the club creating a new training complex and the head groundsman moving to the training complex. So that was like a bit of right place at the right time. But at the same time, they had confidence to give me the job because I was obviously doing a reasonable job at the time. And then not so long after that, I got asked to be a consultant for UEFA, which is the governing body for European soccer, just basically overseeing various tournaments around Europe and various finals. And then the club, Arsenal Football Club in London, they built a new stadium, the Emirates Stadium, a new 60,000 seat stadium. So I was very involved in the design from zero to it being finished. Not only involved in the pitch design, but also involved in the shape of the roof, the shape of the seating bowl, positioning of the big screens, the publicity boards, the surrounds of the pitch access, the storages, etc., etc. Anything and everything that has had any impact on the pitch, whether it be from shade, from airflow, from access, I had total control over that, or a very, very influential control. And then 3 years into the new stadium being operational, I then got headhunted to go to Real Madrid Football Club, which is the biggest soccer team in the world, where I started there in 2009. And historically, the stadium was very, very poor. So we had to fix the stadium. And they thought the training facility was pretty good, but it wasn't good. It was just good compared to what they had in the stadium. So the priority to start with was to fix the stadium surface. And by doing so, that kind of showed up the cracks started to appear in the training facility. And they could see that they had to make some pretty big investments there too. So we basically transformed the training facility into probably the best or one of the best sports complexes in the world. And I'm pretty proud of what we did there. And then after about 9 years there, they promoted me to be a director of the club. And they also gave me the responsibility for the environmental policies within the organisation as well, which was a bit of a reward really for what I was doing in my own department. We're using a lot of electrical machinery. We went away from fungicides and pesticides and started using various microbial products and just using better turf management techniques to make sure the grass was in the healthiest, strongest position to cope with whatever was thrown at its way. We also were using like UV light and a few other things as well. Just going back to the Arsenal days, I was the first person to actually buy grow lights to treat a whole football pitch as well, which now obviously is quite common. Even in the US now, there's quite a lot of stadiums with this. We also, when we fixed the pitch in the Real Madrid stadium, it gave them then confidence to exploit the pitch for non-soccer events. So we came up with a strategy which allowed them to have 3 months of events per year and basically increase the revenue inside the club massively, as well as reducing the injuries by about 40% as well, which when players are on $500,000 a week, it's quite big money when you've got 5 or 6 of them on a bed in the physio's room. So there was some of the things we did there. And then basically in my last 2 years there, we started to develop, they're going to renovate the existing stadium, spending $1 billion renovating the stadium. And I came up with a pitch design for them, which basically, one day I was at home and I was thinking about how stadiums around the world operate, including in the US, including in Asia. And the pitch basically dictates how you use the stadium. And in a soccer stadium, for example, we use the stadium 25 to 30 days per year for soccer. So we were basically, the 30 days per year was dictating how that stadium was exploited the rest of the year. And so I started to think, how can we deal with this? And what's quite common around the world is you either you slide the pitch out so you can have a concert if you've got a retractable pitch, like, for example, in Phoenix. Or you have a concert and then you just resod the pitch, which happens in Philadelphia and Miami and various other places as well. And or you have an artificial surface like in Dallas or in Minnesota, which a lot of the players are obviously not big fans of. So they were basically the three strategies. So I started to think, why take the grass out for an event? Why don't we bring the grass in for soccer? So rather than take it out 300 times, we bring it in 25 times. And that simple, very simple mindset it's taken 100 years to and it took me some stupid guy from England to actually say to the world, what you're doing, why are we doing this? Why? Surely there's a better way to do this. So I came up with a design where the pitch was basically split into 6 pieces, roughly around 12, 13 yards wide by 120 yards long, 6 pieces, and each piece basically sits on top of the next piece, like a multi-story car park, with space in between, roughly around 7 foot between each tray, and it was like basically a vertical farm. And by doing so, by investing in the right technology, we could basically create any growing environment we wanted. If we wanted sun, we press the sun button. We wanted rain, we press the rain button. We want the wind, we press the wind button. And I didn't have a design for snow, but I had a design for pretty much every other element you could think of, like humidity and airflow, etc., and soil moisture, air temperature, soil temperature, so on and so on. And our jobs right now, every turf groundskeeper or superintendent around the world basically reacts to whatever God throws at him. If he throws lots of sun, we chuck loads of water on. If he throws lots of rain, we get the aerators out, etc., etc. And with this design, basically, I was going to be God. I could decide whether we were going to water the pitch or whether we were going to have a sunny day, a rainy day, a windy day, or like in Britain, we could have all 3 in the same day. So this was the idea, and it was quite an expensive idea, roughly around $125 million. And I went to see the president of Real Madrid, Florentino Perez, and I said to him, "Hey, can I have $125 million?" And then he kind of laughed. And then I said to him, "I will give you $300 million back per year. So I'll give you your money back in 6 months." And then he stopped laughing and he said, "What?" And then his little cogs started to turn around in his mind. And I explained to him my idea. And then they started to scrutinize my idea a little bit, like they were saying, what about the joints between the trays? So, for example, there'll be 5 joints on the playing surface. Well, I said, well, right now, off the grass, we have 400 joints. And you never once have said to me, oh, what about the joints? So we're going to change 400 joints into 5. So I think that problem can be ticked off. So we satisfied that problem and a few other problems and so on and so on. And then basically, some of the directors around the president started to get a little bit jealous about my power, should we say, in this moment in the project, and started to interfere a little bit with the project. And they were scrutinizing everything we were doing. Because, for example, every 3 feet that we went down into the ground was $1 million. and I wanted to go basically 115 feet down. So it was just basically $40 million just to dig a hole. So they were like scrutinizing everything, and obviously the minute you start reducing the hole, it means you have less working space, but then also you have to increase the amount of lighting you need, because the light pattern is less. So for every time they thought they were being clever and fixed a problem, they're actually creating one. And then COVID happened, and then all our meetings went to Zoom, like our little meeting we're having right now. And a guy from England trying to have a strong conversation in Spanish across Zoom wasn't far from ideal. And in the end, things were starting to go out of my control, and the project was all about control. And the minute you lose control is the minute where you're putting the pitch at risk. And the minute you're putting the system at risk, you're putting the pitch at risk, then all of a sudden you're having a Tina Turner concert which is there to fund football, not to sacrifice football. You know, so basically. In the end, they were interfering too much, and in the end, I basically resigned and left, which was a pity, because the project is ongoing as we speak and being built. But I'm very curious to see how much ground has been my red lines, whether they've gone back to my original. I'm sure they haven't. I'm sure. I'm very, very interested spectator to see how it plays out. If it goes well, then I can go and visit and go, well, that was my idea. And if it's bad, I can go and visit and go, well, I told you so. So either way, I'm happy with my contribution there. So I was there for 12 years. I left on good terms. We just agreed to disagree. They tried to get me to stay, but I had my red lines, and the people how I was playing with or negotiating with, they had their red lines too, and so that was that basically. So I left, and then I had various different options in terms of work, some interesting offers actually, and so in the beginning I just decided to go on my own and just do some consultancy work, going around different places, doing some work for UEFA, for some soccer teams in Europe. And then one of my main clients, AS Monaco, we're building a brand new performance center, which is where I am right now. And so they wanted me to run the project for that. So I'm kind of like exclusively working for them at the moment. And the ownership has a second team in Bruges in Belgium. So I go there sometimes as well. So currently I'm basically just piecing together a brand new training facility, which is really quite a cool training facility. It's on top of a mountain. It's around 2,000 feet above sea level, with views of the sea. I can like virtually jump into the sea from the pitch. It's that far, like deep down, but it's not far away. It's quite unique. It's got massive shade problems because it's got a big cliff face running down the one side, which is around 150 feet high, something like that. So it's like a stadium running down the one side of the field. So that's what I'm currently doing, and enjoying it. The project is nearly done. At the same time, I'm training all the staff and implementing new protocols for the different jobs. My family is still in Madrid, so I'm heading backwards and forwards all the time. I think I've done 51 flights this year already. So but they're only short flights.
God bless you. God bless you. That's a wow.
Yeah,
I'm not a big plane guy, so it's like I'm a one flight a year kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean it's only like a 2-hour flight. It's not the end of the world.
For sure.
I get to go in through fast track and the lounge and stuff, so it's not too bad, and life and stuff. And sometimes it has its plus points, but then sometimes not so much, So that's me today, basically, and enjoying what I'm doing. It's kind of 12 years of Real Madrid is a really high pressure place. It's just pressure. A lot of people, a lot of budgets to deal with, a lot of high expectations. So after 12 years of that, having a little bit of, I won't say time out, but doing a job which is a bit more normal for a bit, it works fine for me for now. It won't be forever. At some point in the next year or so, or there's no timeline. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and when the right thing, when the right project shows itself, and it's something that excites me, I will go for it or discuss it and see what happens.
Absolutely. Honestly, in my eyes, one of the brightest minds in all of the turf industry. When you talk about your project at Real Madrid, I remember watching the video and just sort of like the overall like design, and I'm like, that's the future. That's how you solve all of your problems when it comes to, again, especially here in the US with artificial turf and everything, being able to control everything, like you said, being like God. Nobody gets to be Mother Nature, That's kind of like the end all be all for every sports field manager. It's like, I would love to control what happens to my field.
That is the key word, the word control. And my biggest fear with the project was that control was being lost. And if you lose the control, it's the biggest white elephant the planet has ever seen. And so we'll see what happens with it. But I hope for their sake it doesn't, because the business plan is they're expecting about 300 million per year in revenue, plus the 125 they've already laid out. So there is going to be pressure for that to be delivered, but we'll see how that goes.
No, 100%. It's just incredible that you came up with it. I mean, it's the fact that, again, your experience being at Arsenal, being able to have that sort of design being able to understand sort of the climate that you're creating and all those different things. What is it for you during that time that sort of gave you these ideas, and what experience may have influenced like the understanding of having proper airflow and understanding the shade issues, like now at Monaco, like understanding, okay, this is what we have to do in order to have a proper pitch for, again, say a Premier League and like the highest of all high levels of football, what has it been like for you sort of coming up with these designs and understanding at the highest level, creating those environments where they can thrive?
Yeah, well, I mean, at Real Madrid, it was always about trying to be one step ahead, and Real Madrid wants to be the best at whatever it does. And it doesn't matter if it's selling burgers or if it's playing soccer or marketing or the biggest income. They want to be number one at everything they do. And obviously they were doing a big new development on the stadium. The stadium's been there since 1948, so they couldn't touch the foundations, so the pitch couldn't slide out. And there wasn't space outside anyway. So there was only two options. The pitch went down or it went up. Up wasn't an option because of the structure wouldn't allow it. Going down also was restricted because there's basically a train tunnel which runs 2 feet underneath the field, down the middle of the field. So it all had to go underground to one side. And so basically when I had the concepts, I then went and spoke with a company that basically builds underground metro stations, because that's basically what it is. It's a big giant box underground, and so it's all about partnering with the right people and the right companies, but sometimes I think in the industry we talk it up and we overcomplicate things, and in some ways it's good because it means we can maybe demand more money and bigger salaries, etc. But at the end of the day, like we just need to keep things pretty simple. Like when I'm managing grass, I just treat it like a human. It needs food, it needs water, it needs rest, it needs air, it needs its haircut sometimes. And if I'm tired, chances are the pitch is tired as well because it's either had too much soccer on it or too many activity, because it means I'm tired because I've been maintaining it. Or it's too hot. Like today, it's very, very hot here. So if I'm hot, the pitch is hot. It's humid, and I'm sweaty. The pitch is sweaty, which means probably a risk of disease. So I think sometimes you just got to try and relate to the grass like it's your brother or your friend. You're like and just. If you look at it from a human perspective, I think you don't go too far wrong, and I think sometimes people overthink things.
I couldn't agree with you more. My former boss up with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was like, "You can't overthink grass, otherwise it'll bite you in the ass." Which, I mean, it's so true when you look at it. When you experience, again, being a sports field manager, you're like, wow, I could have done that way differently, But something that I love about, again, pitch managers in Europe is you guys always have sort of an environmental sense behind everything that you do. What has it been like for you to be a leader in the sort of arena of pitch management when it comes to the environmental standards and just overall having that influence on the industry? Again, don't get mad at me, people in the United States, I'm here too, but you guys are way ahead of the United States when it comes to the care, the understanding of the importance of the pitch. Like you were saying with the project, like you give an inch and there's a way that the pitch might have issues moving forward, but owners, players, everyone in Europe understands that the pitch is the number one most important aspect of the game because, again, of the player safety and all of that. What has it been like for you to sort of be the ambassador for all those things? Again, sort of creating that standard in the UEFA. I'm sorry if I said that wrong.
I mean, in terms of environmental side of things, we're doing a lot of good, but we're also doing a lot of bad as well. I mean, when I was at Real Madrid, and we spoke about me taking over the environmental policy, it was absolutely a great decision by the club, because although I was doing lots of good things for the environment with the way we were using fungicides, pesticides, and we were trying to use electric machines rather than petrol and diesel machines. We had the biggest carbon footprint because we had undersoil heating systems and grow lights. So I was spending $500,000 on electric. So by no means are we angels at all. I mean, the pitch, probably one of my biggest successes in my career was when I was at Arsenal Football Club. They used to be really quite hard with the money in the early days that I was there, and then I tried to basically in soccer. Most of your listeners will know, but there's 11 soccer players in a team, and when I was asking money for the grass, they'd be like, "You want $40,000 for grass? Why do you want $40,000 for grass?" But because everyone's got a garden, everyone's got grass, and they spend $4 a year on it, so they didn't get it. So what I did was I got the club bit by bit to change their mentality and their mindset, and I got the club to see the pitch as the 12th player. So when a player is earning $200,000 a week, all of a sudden, when I want $40,000 for something, he's like, "Well, that player is really cheap. He's the cheapest player in the team." And so trying to associate the grass with the team was a key to getting investment for the grow lights, for example, which back in 2004, I think it was, we spent $750,000 on grow lights, which is something no one on this planet had ever done before. And that year we received a trophy for the best pitch in the Premier League. So to have the best pitch in the Premier League and then say, hey, we want $750,000 for something that no one's ever done before, it was a bit of a hard sell. But when you change the mentality and explain to them what you're trying to do, unfortunately, a lot of people, a lot of groundsmen even, don't know all the backstory of all these things. And I guess this is things like this are great to get this information out there. But all these things have a beginning and an end, and so it's not a case of, oh yeah, how much money do you want? You can have it, no problem at all. And you get it because you take people on a journey and you explain what it's going to cost and what's the value for the team and for the club. And one thing we are a little bit more fortunate about maybe in Europe than in the US, or two things actually. One is our main sport is soccer, and the ball rolls on the ground. So the surface interaction is far greater than, say, with American football, for example, which is your big. Obviously, you've got soccer, but your cash cow is American football, I guess. And obviously, from a traction and the stability side of things, the grass is important. But maybe from a smoothness, and I think the demands on the grass are a little bit more for soccer in terms of its performance. We have exactly the same biomechanic challenges as American football, or maybe American football has a little bit more because they are bigger and heavier. And but in terms of the playing of the sport, there is demands where the ball is in contact with the ground, and so from that instance, the pitch has maybe a bit more importance. And then the other difference in Europe compared to the US, again, the NFL being the only one that doesn't comply with this, is we play winter sports in the winter and summer sports in the summer, just like in the US. But winter sports are outdoor sports. We play football, soccer, and we play rugby. Where in the US, you play outside in the summer, except for the NFL, and you play inside in the winter, being basketball and ice hockey. So what does that mean? That basically means that we have two distinct seasons. We have the sports season, which runs September through till August through till May, and then we have the concert season through the summer. The big difference for the soccer guys, for example, in the US, is they don't have the two distinct seasons. They have soccer concert, soccer concert, soccer concert. So the NFL is a little bit closer to the model of Europe, but the other sports, it's more difficult. Baseball, for example. And then another reason that the standards are pretty high in Europe is at the end of the season, we have time to do a proper renovation where we pass with the field top maker, the coral top maker, remove the grass, and then we reseed. And then we have 5, 6, 7 weeks to grow the surface in. In the MLS, for example, your season finishes in November, December. Trying to grow grass in Kentucky in December is not very easy. So there's different challenges, and thankfully, by playing outdoors when we should be indoors, it allows us to do proper end of season renovations, and that's key. So we don't really have a big culture for changing sod in Europe. It's starting to become a little bit more common now, but in the past, where in the US you'll have many events change the sod. So the field kind of like has a bit more of a kind of, I don't know, feels a bit more part of the stadium because it's been there for years. You know, maybe a classic ballpark where maybe a Wrigley Field or something like that, or Boston or something. I don't know where the field's been there maybe for a long time, but in many places it's just a business, and you use it, and when it's broken you just throw it away. And and maybe when people see the grass only has a short shelf life of 3, 4, 5 months, it's harder to fall in love with it than say if it's something that's there for 10 years. So I think there's some of the differences between Europe and the US, and also one other big difference probably is soccer in Europe is such a cash cow that they can afford for stadiums to sit empty for weeks on end, where in the US, you guys really, really hammer the stadiums in terms of anything you can, any money. I mean, I'm good friends with Sean at the Galaxy, and he has so many different events on there, and
10 events a day, all over the place.
Yeah, it's just
corporate, other games. Yeah,
and it's just a business. It's just a business, and so it's maybe quality goes down. It's more about quantity, and it's just it's different challenges. In the top end in Europe, we've got a better chance of trying to get perfection because we're given the more opportunity to do that. Where in the US, I can't think of any venue really in the US where you get proper windows to. Maybe in Green Bay, I think maybe he has a tough climate, but he has more opportunities maybe to have the field in good condition. And Alan in Green Bay does a great job. But a lot of the places it's just multi-use, and obviously American football is very hard on the grass as well.
I love how you explain sort of changing the perspective on, again, non-sports field managers and the whole idea of the 12th player, because it's something that I feel like a lot of people in the world don't really understand how critical it is and how much it does play a role. I remember talking to my boss in the past, MLB groundskeepers account for 5 wins a season or something like that. Like understanding like the role that the sports field managers play and the way that you change the sort of the thought process with Arsenal and being able to put the grow lights in and seeing how that's become the industry standard. That's incredible to see. Even Alan up in Green Bay uses the grow lights and everything. So it's awesome to understand that you've been able to create sort of that understanding of non-sports field managers and pitch managers,
But I speak to some grounds managers in Europe, and some of them think, I could do a miles better job in the US, and but they don't understand the I'd say the different challenges. And I've been very fortunate to have been to the US many times, and I say I've got many good friends at loads of venues around the States. Probably in every state I know somebody.
Yeah. And
I visited many people, and so I know the challenges and challenges with the weather, the transition grasses, how they want to get so much value out of the surfaces. So everywhere's got its own issues going on, and then just going back to sustainability, I obviously went a bit off track with that. The European Union is pretty tough on banning various chemicals and pesticides and stuff like that. So we're quite far ahead, I think, of the US on that side of things. I mean, we drive like little Mickey Mouse cars, where you've got them big cars with big wheels taller than me, and we're like your gas is like 10 times cheaper than ours. Even now, by the way,
I don't even want to know how much it is for you guys because it's crazy.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know. I don't even walk. I just press the button. But
take my money. Take my money.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you're talking $150 to fill a car up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I see on Twitter. I see a few Americans whinging. I'm thinking, you guys
have no idea. I hear you.
So that's good. Yeah. But so I think Europe is a little bit ahead of the rest of the world in terms of like the sustainability side of things. But it's coming, and you can see the world's pushing that way. I know there's more resistance in some places than others, but I've actually got a Tesla car. I drive a Tesla.
Hey.
Well, I have a Tesla car in Madrid. So
very nice.
Electric cars are becoming more the norm, and Toro and John Deere and all the companies are trying to produce more electric machines. And in fact, I've just bought an E-Flex from Toro as well, which is a great machine. And in fact, all our grass cutting here at AS Monaco is electric. Every single machine we do for grass cutting is electric. So, which is not many sites that can say that. So yeah, no, it's coming, and you can either embrace it or you can be the last to adapt. And things like fungicides, for example, I can still buy some fungicides now, but I've been fungicide free for 4 or 5 years. I've kept a couple of bottles in the cupboard just in case of a tsunami, should we say?
In case of the heat wave that's going on right now. Yeah.
but and the reason I've done that is because I want to stay ahead of the game, because at some point, they will get banned, and when they do, I'm already 8 years ahead of the next person. And I remember I used to have when I was at Real Madrid. By the end of my time in Real Madrid, I just became a glorified tour guide, because I was just basically receiving visitors from various places around the world, from golf courses, soccer clubs, and my staff would always say to me, "Why do you give them all our secrets?" This is what they used to say, and I'm like, "Well, if they're doing what I'm doing now, then they ain't doing what I'm going to be doing tomorrow." So they can do that. So
new secrets are coming in, right?
Exactly. So you got to move ahead, and I know a lot of groundskeepers and greenkeepers keep diaries about their work, and I've never done that, and I've got nothing against people who do, but the way I look at it, what I had for breakfast 12 months ago and what I did to the pitch, I don't see any relevance whatsoever in today, and I think all it does is hold you back, if anything. And obviously, in your mind, you can cast it. Sometimes I go to myself, how was the pitch last July? But I've got enough memory to remember what it was like last July. Yeah? So I've never really been into doing things like that. But I've got nothing against people who do it. But I've always tried to be progressive and forward thinking rather than thinking about the past.
Absolutely. Something that I've seen that's very unique about your career and what you've done is sort of your involvement sort of here in the States with the SFMA and taking part in the certified sports field management exam and becoming a certified sports field manager. What has sort of been that draw to, again, being such a big part? I mean, coming to all the conferences and everything that you do here in the States, which we've seen more and more. I saw John Ludwig this year in Savannah and different guys coming across. What was sort of your thought process and how you've created? I mean, like you said, so many people here in the States. What has that been like for you? And just sort of, what does it mean for you to be a certified sports field manager? Again, being someone who is such a great pedigree when it comes to European football, when it comes to pitch management.
But basically, I've been going to the STMA. My first one I went to was Long Beach, which I think was in 2010, maybe, or 9. And the first one I missed was actually Savannah this year, and I was due to go, and then unfortunately there was a family bereavement, which meant I couldn't attend, and so that's the first one I've missed in like 10, 12, 14 years, and so I was gutted to miss, and I'll definitely be at the one next January. I also tend to go to CSAA, is that how you say it?
Yep.
I also tend to go to that one as well, which was a bit of a luxury because it meant basically I went to America, came home for 5 days, and then went back to America again. And while I was at Real Madrid, that was quite okay to do. How that fits with my current employment, I don't know. Probably I'll have to choose one, and STMA would be my choice of the two because it's more relevant. And I like the organisation, and it's changed names now, actually, hasn't it?
It's Sports Field Management Association.
Yeah.
They wanted it to be more inclusive as their explanation for it. So
yeah, I'm not. It's STMA to me.
There we go. Yeah.
STMA.
A lot of people are still getting used to it too. So a lot of people still STMA. So
yes. So basically, I started going like 12, 14 years ago, and made loads of friends very, very quickly, and some really good people actually. Had some pretty good parties with various people as well, and I've even been back to the States a few times on vacation and hooked up with these people as well. And a couple of them have been over to Europe as well. And so it's great. It's great to see. It's always nice to see how markets do things. And I love soccer and seeing how soccer's building in the US. It's amazing to see how it's gone. And once you guys have the next World Cup in 26, I think it will go even more again. When you had it back in '94, I don't think the US was ready for it, but I think this time round you're going to put on a really, really big show and take soccer to the next level again. So yeah, it's just great seeing how that develops and grows, and then American football. Curious about it a little bit, and I love American stadiums as well. They're very different to European stadiums, so it's always nice to see that. And I work with various American companies as well, like machinery companies. I use various fertilizer products from the US as well. And then to challenge myself, I saw the chance to do the what do you call it, the CSFM, and so I did that, and I think I was the first European to do it. Actually, it wasn't easy by any means, because there's quite a lot of things that are not very relevant to what I'm doing in Europe, and in terms of associations and bodies, and some of your diseases are different, and baseball measurements and stuff like that are a bit of a. So it took a couple of attempts to do it, to be honest with you, but in the end, I was able to stumble over the minimum line, and so I got that, and then also they launched the environmental facility thing, and it came around similar time to when I was doing quite a bit of work at Real Madrid, so I thought it was a perfect opportunity to put the two things together. So that's why I did that, and I've always had an ambition one day to go and work in the US as well. So obviously having that connection as well, it can only be a good thing as well. Whether that will ever happen, I don't know. But you guys don't particularly need me. You've got plenty of competent people in all the top venues. So I think me going there to work is probably more of a dream rather than a reality. But if not, I will still come by on my vacations and for one or two conferences a year, and have loads of chicken wings and drink loads of Yingling beer. That's my favourite beer, Yingling.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that's why I like the East Coast, because you can get Yingling. On the West Coast, you can't get it. So you can also get it, Yingling, I've got a friend who works in the CIA, and he's based in Madrid, in the embassy in Madrid. And they've got a little supermarket inside the embassy that stocks Yingling.
You're like, I need you to bring me some of that stuff.
I can't get it in LA, but I can get it in Madrid. So
how backward is that, right?
Yeah. So it's all good. So yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the US, and I love it. I love all parts of it. I've driven. I once went on a road trip with Simon from SGL, and we flew into Houston, and we drove from Houston to Austin, and then from Austin we went straight through the middle of the country, right up to see Allen in Green Bay, and went straight through the middle. Yeah.
That's a long trip.
Yeah, it was good, and quite a few late nights as well, and had some good times actually. We went and saw the guys in where did we go? Went to Arrowhead Stadium. Went to
Travis.
went everywhere. We went everywhere. So no, it was pretty cool. And then obviously we're in Chicago and Wisconsin. Is that right? I can't even say it.
Windy City.
Milwaukee. And we went to Whistling Straits as well, the golf course.
Very nice.
It's a pretty cool trip. So I've been all over the States. I reckon I've done 3/4 of the States, I would say.
You've done more than me.
Yeah. I want to go to Alaska. That's on my to-do list.
It's gorgeous up there from what I've heard.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
For sure.
So my connections with US will always be there, whether it be on a part-time basis or a full-time basis. We will see.
You're always welcome. You say there's plenty of people that are at the top. We would be honored to have you.
Because of COVID, this is probably my longest stint that I've not been to the US. I mean, normally I was going like 4 or 5 times per year because also with Real Madrid, like they're in Los Angeles right now, and I used to go and do the pre-visit, checking out the training facilities, and then go out with the team. Then I'd be at the 2 trade shows, sometimes get out for something else as well. So then go on vacation. So I'd be out there 5, 6 times per year. And so to not go now must be the last time I was there was San Diego for the golf show. Not the one just gone now. The last
2
one
times,
before,
3 years
before
ago.
COVID. Yeah. So 3 years ago, I think it was. So I need to get back. I definitely need to get back. So it probably won't be until January now because my schedule's pretty full.
Salt Lake.
Is that where it is? Salt Lake.
Yeah. I'm presenting with a friend of mine.
Is that what's that like? Is that good?
What, Salt Lake?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a colder city, colder location, but it is gorgeous. There's so much to do around the city. If you like skiing and whatnot, maybe make a plan to do that.
That's not Yingling territory, is it?
There should be. Since it's colder and it's not all the way out in the middle. No. Yeah, we'll find some Yingling. I promise. We'll if it's not in the bar, we'll get you a 24-pack of Yingling.
If not, I'll have to have a layover in Miami or something on the way through, or
it's always Miami's a good place to stop, right? They're building the new facility down there, I believe. I think they finished.
Yeah. So it looks great.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, for sure. So we wrap up with these last 2 questions because I'm always interested to see, and you being again icon in the industry and what you've completed and what you've done in your career. If there was one thing that you wish you knew, and it's not to make anything like better or easier, if there was one thing you wish you knew when you first started in pitch management, what would that be and why?
So say again, this is one thing
that you wish you knew when you first started, and it's not to make anything easier or better, even change anything, but something that you wish you knew when you started off in this industry.
Cool. Could give me a bit of warning on that one.
Sorry.
I don't know really.
Could be like about the job, understanding the constraints.
The assistant training coach of when I was at Arsenal Football Club, he always used to say to me, whenever there's a problem, he used to say to me, Paul, there's no such thing as problems, only solutions. And that's a nice bit of advice. And maybe I'd have liked to have had that earlier on in my career. Because, rather than get bogged down with like problems, you're like, no, it's not a problem. I solve this, but I don't know really.
That was perfect. That's awesome.
You've got me on that one. You've got me on that question.
But like that's honestly like when it comes, especially like now in today's day and age, hopefully coming out, nobody cancel me. I know it's still a thing, but coming out of COVID, like there are so many new variables that you don't anticipate and things that you can't control, that you have to face them head on and just find the solution. I think one bit of advice I would give is just don't overcomplicate things. I mean, people can like
like talk like really complicated so you don't understand the word, but it's not rocket science. It's a lot of it's common sense. A lot of it's like I say, treat it a bit like you treat yourself and like a human being, and common sense and just doing what you think's right, and also when you think you do something right, stick with it, go for it, because when you have indecision, that's when you start to make mistakes. I think sometimes you've got to go with your gut feeling sometimes, and that's a bit of advice I'd give. But like in terms of, I haven't really answered your question, but I can.
You answered my next question. My next question was what words of advice would you give kids?
Oh, there you go.
Like my
So my advice would be to speak to people, listen to people, and take on board lots of information, digest it at your own pace, how you want to do it, and also, people, a lot of times people talk all technical jargon and all of that just to make themselves look a bit more intelligent and more important than you and all the rest of it. But they're not more important. They're not. They might be a bit more intelligent, depends on the person. But like, just go with your gut feeling and do what you think's right. And a lot of it's common sense, and it's all about just if you don't believe in it yourself, how can you get someone else to believe in it? And so if you can justify your decisions, then you've got a chance of getting other people to agree with you, whether that's seeking money, funding, or whatever. And we're not very good communicators, I don't think, in our industry. I think people in America are better than we are in Europe. Like for example, public speaking. I don't do any public speaking. I'm mega scared, mega scared. I'm like, I hate it. I can walk on the soccer field with 80,000 fans in the stands and repair divots, but I can't walk on a stage and say 2 words in front of 50 people. It's strange. So communication for me is quite hard. It's okay. It's okay on a 1-to-1, 3-4 people or whatever. But in terms of big groups, I find that very hard. And well, for sure, as a sector, we don't help ourselves. I don't think by the way we how we conduct ourselves in terms of how we present ourselves. And I think we can definitely improve. That's one thing we can, as a group, we can do better.
Absolutely. I want to thank you so much for taking time. This has been phenomenal.
No problem.
I always looked up to you and everything that you've done, especially with, the designs that you've come up with are just, again, I think that's going to change the industry for the future. Hopefully over here, there's a big debate with NFL, like, should there be artificial fields or not? Obviously, most players understand it's safer, but like you said, it's a money-making machine. And I feel like putting that investment, like you said, put the 120 in, get 300 out the next year, that's something that should make people's eyes go, hey, maybe we should try this,
I mean, the concept's mad, and but it's workable, and the big fear is if it's not delivered properly, then obviously it'll be it'll be the first and last. But we'll see what happens. For sure, if it fails or succeeds, it could have a future. There's no question. But we will see. Maybe the sale will become easier, or maybe the sale will become harder.
You never know, right?
Time will tell.
Oh, I just want to say thank you again for taking the time. I will have a Yingling in Utah if it's not there, I'll find one. I'll smuggle it in.
We have a date.
Sounds good. Sure, okay? All right.
Take care.
Yes,
best regards to everyone
who's
listening, and speak soon. Okay.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.